Here we go.
We gotta change up that tarps off photo in the intro.
If anybody wants to know how important Dakota Josh was to the Vancouver Canucks, that was the game. Okay, so condiments. This is everything.
Everything. So we run the gamut completely, right? And
I'm talking about sriracha on the bottle.
Sriracha?
Sriracha. It's that silent R that screws me up.
Is it a silent R?
I don't know, like who's tall?
Who's tall?
Chris Pronger, wasn't he tall?
Chris Pronger was tall, yeah.
Welcome to the PP1 podcast.
Are you kidding me? That's what?
Oh, it's good every single time. The new intro really suits us. Shout out to Jesse.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I like it.
It needed a redo. Welcome to the PP1 podcast. I'm Ryan. That's Ted. We're on the Hockey Podcast Network. We're presented in concert with DraftKings promo code THPN. Gametime tickets, Raycon, and who am I missing? Raycon, DraftKings, Gametime, and Hockey Podcast Network. That's all of them, I think. Do you have any? Do you want to promote something that we're sponsoring at all, Ted, or no?
How about we promote our boy Matty over at OKGN, Okanagan Lifestyle?
Oh, fine. I like him. Shout out OKGN for being there, for being a local gem.
What a beauty.
And for Matt, he's a gem in itself. Folks, if you would like to get involved, obviously follow us on Facebook. That's key. YouTube, Twitter, that's all good. Join the chat. We're going to have a fun one because I got some new energy today. A lot of weight off my shoulders. Some things have changed personally, grouply, and I'm ready to rededicate myself to this show. Not that I didn't last week. Last week was positively positive, and it was good to go to sleep after that one. Didn't you feel?
In the words of Bad Boys, it would be a woosah.
Yeah, from the movie The Bad Boys. Bad Boys.
Movie, yeah.
Okay. Look what I found in the basement. Found a couple of these. The old logo.
I got a couple of those kicking around too.
Yeah, so like if somebody wants these, that's not the new logo. We don't even have stickers of the new logo. So I got a few of these, and I want to get some more housekeeping out of the way. So these shirts are like insanely comfortable. So you guys remember this, the hockey card one? Yeah. We've got the blue one. We got the pink one. I'm going to bring these on later when we get some more viewers because people aren't quite here yet. $20. Let's just move these. My wife's getting mad at me. There's a box.
How many do you have left?
I don't know. I didn't do a count actually, but I think there's at least one anyway, of every size of both colors. So at the very least, there's 10 shirts left. But like let's move these things. We'll get creative on how we ship them. If you're a Lower Mainlander, maybe we can meet up in like a week when I'm down there. But yeah, let's move these things because I need them gone. They're comfy. I wear my pink one all the time. It's great. Very, very comfortable. I enjoy it. Just saying. Ted, a couple things. So the Canucks are winning again. But before we're gonna get to the Canucks in a second. We got some big news. Big news. Anybody that has been following me today on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Linkin Park is coming back. Their album comes out From Zero on Friday. I cannot wait. They've already got 4 songs out, all bangers, like all A+, which is
A+.
Man, they're good. Every single one of them so far is just like
She's good.
Oh, and you can listen to them on repeat. Like every song that's come out, I've listened to. Well, I mean, within reason, because some of them have just come out. But the first 3 that came out, I'm pretty sure I've heard at least like 50, 60 times each, if not more.
Geez.
Oh man, they're so good. And the new one that just came out today, I've already listened to like 6 times. Very good. Now here's the kicker. Tomorrow, Thursday, they are making a worldwide announcement for a concert tour. I have yet to see these guys, and I cannot wait. Apparently my just do this the fun way. Start Cam.
That surprises me though that you haven't seen them live. I know this is like your band.
So yeah, there's reasons.
Does it rate higher than Nickelback for you?
I mean, I've seen Nickelback a bunch of times. They are a blast, but I think
that's not what I asked. That's not what I asked.
Where does it rate higher? Is what you're saying?
Where does your list number 1 go?
Oh baby. Okay, so that's a great question. So I'm gonna go. Our Lady Peace is my number 1.
Holy cow!
Yeah,
I loved OLP back in the day for sure.
So like, I don't know what it is and why I just like. I mean, it's Canadian. We can't help our Canadian bands, but I love seeing them. Any chance I get to see Our Lady Peace, I go. I've seen them probably 6 or 7, maybe 8 times. I've only had to pay a few times, so that's been a bonus. Realistically, I would say Linkin Park is probably 2.
Wow.
And Nickelback would probably be 3. Which is crazy to think, because you guys all know I'm a monster Nickelback fan. But I don't know, Linkin Park just like they changed a lot of people. Like when Hybrid Theory came out, that was a game changer for a lot of people.
Oh,
like the rock rap. It wasn't Fred Durst.
Rock rap, yeah.
Yeah, with the metal in there. Like it was so different. So yeah, I would say that would be my 3. Our Lady Peace, Linkin Park, Nickelback. Welcome to Canada. Anyway, so big concert announcement tomorrow, worldwide, like all over the world. I can't wait. I'm going to try to see them either in Vancouver or Calgary, because depending on when they play, I may be in one of those places. My internet is slow. Is it really? Okay.
You seem like very skippy. I don't know.
Maybe it's on the wrong.
It's I'm not on the smooth like a fresh jar skippy, but
okay.
Who knows? Maybe it's mine. Well, maybe I'm just seeing your screen freeze and your audio skipping in and out.
Oh, I mean, I'm golden over here, so maybe it's on you. Who knows? Anyway, we'll figure it out. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. But let's get into the Canucks. So you've all been following. Sorry, I'm talking forever, but I'm gonna let you talk now. You guys have all been following the Patrick Alvin, Jim Rutherford saga this year. We could maybe dub it the Bring Sally Up cap savings plan. So they bring Sally up, they bring Sally down. I can't remember the next part. Bring Sally up, bring Sally down. So they're just like doing call-ups and then sending down like every day, right? They're just accruing this cap savings, basically like a super savings account you got as a kid. You just keep putting some money and eventually you've got a pretty decent savings account. The Canucks are saving up for a big trade deadline spend, Ted. It's going to be, or sooner. But this is smart. Like they're just building up this cap savings. I love it. This would be on you now.
I didn't hear the last 10 seconds of whatever
this is crazy. Okay, so I'm saying this cap savings thing is awesome and I love it. So like, what do we do with this?
I mean, I think it's probably what everybody's talking about, right? I mean, Pittsburgh's fading fast, and there's a bunch of players out there, and Eller was just traded. Marcus Pettersson's available. He's a lefty. I think that he probably does the thing that you eventually want, like Elias Pettersson, to do, but we're not at that stage with him yet. He's a similar type player in terms of like size and shutdown ability. But yeah, he's 28-year-old. He's at the end of his contract. He doesn't make a ton of money here. I want to say that he makes something like 4.5. Maybe you can fact check me on that. But like that's the type of player that you should be targeting, and that's a little bit like the Elias Lindholm get from last year, right? Like it makes perfect sense. I don't know what you have to give to get up. Like I don't know what you have to give up to get a player like that. If it's a second rounder, then that would be good. It would be tough to give up first rounders back to back, for guys that aren't necessarily going to be on this team next year. But like those are the kind of players that you should be looking for when you're looking for a deadline acquisition. And this team clearly could use an extra defender. But yeah, that would be a guy I think that I would be targeting for sure. And obviously that relationship that they have with Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh players goes a long way into maybe facilitating that trade to be a little bit easier.
So 4.25.
There you go.
Is what's
4.25.
expiring.
So I was right in the middle, 4 to 4.5, 4.25.
That's half.
Yeah,
That's half. That's
split.
perfect. And it sounds like the Canucks are like the leading candidate to go and get him. I think it only makes sense that we have a bunch of every last name. So have all the Petterssons at once.
Just corner the market
And
and
then-
Petterssons would be good.
And I think, did I see something about Keandre Miller? So we'll corner the market in Millers.
Oh man, if Keandre Miller was available, that would be a guy that I'd be going after, like stat.
So, typical Canucks, we get all the same names. That's what we do. I mean, they went and got both Sedins. Remember that? Remember when they got both Sedins? Just it seems like something they'd do, right?
Thank you, Brian McCabe. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, what was the deal? Was it McCabe for that pick? Or was it McCabe and somebody else for that pick? I can't remember.
Oh, there was a bunch of gymnastics. That was part of it. Yeah. You'd think we'd know
But
this.
the player going the other way, I think. Whether it was
McCabe.
just McCabe or if it was McCabe and somebody else.
Keith Carney.
Yeah, more of an Eric Weinrich guy. No, just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark Bergevin. That's the guy we were thinking of the other week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mark Bergevin. Yeah.
The jokester. So yeah, I think they've this cap savings thing. Like, it's funny because you see it every day when you log in. Like, the Canucks call up, nails them on, and whoever, and then at the end of the day or next morning they send down. And you're like, okay, we get it. I wonder if just like they just have it on like auto renew.
Brandstrom, another guy, right?
Yeah. You just see it on like auto renew, right? Where they just have it like, it's like, all right, I'm going to set up my schedule for the next like 2 weeks. And you can just see it. Like, Gary's just like, oh, here it comes again. Let me guess. The Canucks are sending, oh, here it is. Surprise, surprise. Oh, wow. Super crazy. So when it's a different name, everybody freaks out. Like when Ty Young came up, like, listen, he's coming up for cap reasons. And he's
Everybody make a relax.
Yeah. Let's just chill. Like, and then when Lekkerimaki comes up, I'm like, no, he's actually staying. Oh, really?
They're just getting.
Well, this is news.
Yeah,
this is news. Wow.
So smart, but like the old regime would have never done anything like that, right? Like they wouldn't have had the wherewithal to pull something like that off. Not that it's that hard to pull off.
But how many call-ups do they get in a season? Isn't it like 50?
I don't know.
I thought it was like 50 or 51 or something like that.
Yeah, but it would make sense. Was it last year or year before last year? We burned through them all and we had like emergency call-ups put into place.
Yeah, that was the Mike McKenna situation, wasn't it?
I don't know. Can't remember.
When we lost like out on, because they lost out on, they claimed McKenna, but then they couldn't use him because they'd have to put him through waivers again. They're like, oh, well, that was a waste.
Yeah. At least that got fixed. Do you remember you called a player up without him having to pass through waivers if he was a vet? And I can remember what year it was. It was so long ago that I think like Wade Flaherty was in the organization still at this time. And they were having like goaltending issues and they needed a guy to come up and play, but they couldn't call Flaherty up and risk losing him from the AHL team for nothing. So, yeah.
Interesting.
At least I think that's how that went. But yeah, just silly wild times. The NHL is a weird place.
So the Bring Sally Up cap savings program, you can pen it here. That's what it is. We should have that song dubbed in, but I'm afraid
it was like probably 5-6 years ago, like the push-up challenge was going around.
Yeah, you got me onto that, and you're like, "Oh, you got to try this out." And I think we did the push-up one. Yeah, we did. Remember, didn't we do like? I feel like was I here? I think you were here.
Oh, was I? I was at your house.
I think you were here.
You probably didn't complete it.
No, I got like a minute and a half, and I died.
Oh yeah. Okay, awful. Yeah, no, I remember now. It was you were doing like what was your crazy workout session that you did for a while?
Oh, the 21-day fix stuff.
Right.
Yeah, we still have those. It's been a few more days than 21 since I've last done it, but that's okay. That's okay. Speaking of, I could do it. Speaking of Pettersson,
I just got approval to go back to the gym. I had my first gym session yesterday.
Hey, if anybody knows Ted, this is a big deal. This is his escape space. This is where Ted goes to like, this is his free, his let his mind free thing. Mm-hmm. So way to go. That's awesome.
Man. Yeah.
I don't want to join you though, because even like you coming back on a workout is still more intense than anything.
I don't think so. I don't know. I see you all sweaty on the social medias. Like, oh, Ryan's posting another picture again.
Dude, that was just me
covered in sweat.
That was literally just me waking up the other day. That had nothing to do with working out. I haven't posted one of those in a long time. Now on the golf course in the backyard, for whatever reason, I've been sweating a lot lately. I've had to change a lot of shirts. I think my BO is like creeping up on me or something. Like, I think I'm getting like dad BO now. It just like happens.
Speaking of BO, Horvat's in town tomorrow night.
Oh yes. Yeah. Oh yes. And maybe future Canuck Matt Barzal.
That was a pretty stinky transition, but we got there.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I've been smelly lately. Is that a thing? Like, because I never used to smell.
Maybe just like lay off the garlic and onions for a little while.
Oh, but I love garlic. Onions I hate. Let's talk Canucks though. Yeah. So Pettersson, we were talking about a Marcus Pettersson. Let's talk about Elias Pettersson. The question last night, is PD back? What do you think?
Like, I think he's coming back. Like, do we need like a defining game moment for this to happen?
It's Vancouver. It's Canucks Nation. They need every bit of validation that exists. I don't think he's back because he scored 3 goals, but he's looking a lot better. He looks positionally sound. He's been letting off some clappers. He doesn't look like he's thinking as much anymore. And I think,
Yeah, I mean, he looks better. I don't know where this new version of PD came from, this net front version. The guy that's like in there, like throwing extra hits around, like I don't know. He just looks so much more committed to things. He looks kind of mean out there. It's just
like the reinvention of PD.
He doesn't look like as much of a shooter, like as dangerous, like in that side of it as you were kind of hoping for. But he's making some really nice plays out there and just finding guys. And I think the biggest difference that I noticed over the last couple of games is now he's drawing like 1 or 2 defenders into him now.
Mm-hmm.
And then making that play off to whoever it is, right? But I mean, it's continuing on to whoever he decides to make it to. There's decent line mates for him finally, and that's going a long way. I was listening to Canucks Central the other day, and I think it was Sat said this is like his first multi-point game, like back-to-back multi-point game since like we went roughshod on the New York Rangers last year.
Pardon me? Really?
Yeah. Like that was like, what was that? Like 8 months ago? Like that's a long time, right? Like he's had multi-point games in between, but he's never gone back-to-back multi-point games after doing what he did, in that first half of the season, best player in the league. Right. So I don't think if this is Pettersson's back, like then he's not all the way back. Like there's more gears than this one. There's, he might be touching, high 80s on his fastball right now, but there's still a lot more to go.
No, he's looking for placement now.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure he's got the 95 mile per hour heater somewhere in there, right? Like I want to see that Pettersson. And although the big ultimate goal is to get back to that point, like in the meantime, I'm happy with this version who's like finding confidence and looks like a guy who wants the puck on his stick and looks like at times he can be just downright dominant defensively. I mean, we were watching that game yesterday and I can't remember what it must have been, halfway through the second period, PD lost his first draw. Like he was 7-1 up until that point. That was like, that's not the Pettersson I remember. Right. So finer details, right? Maybe having Malhotra in the organization helping out with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think it's a long game with him.
The coach down on the farm, but like that stuff's got to track and play when you have access to all those tools, right? So he looks better. He looks more engaged. He looks like a guy who can carry a line a little bit, and he looks dangerous now. He's and because he looks dangerous, he's drawing forecheckers in. He's drawing defenders in towards him, and then from there, he's just opening the rest of the team up, and that's what we want from a guy like Pettersson. In addition to collecting points.
Yeah, I think the one thing I noticed too last night, and I texted you this, that power play, when they were moving and all those passes just kept, like, it was like a cycle, which was
slinging it,
reminiscent to Sedinary, but they just kept making plays. They kept drawing a guy out, like you said, and eventually, they did have a few power plays where it didn't actually result in a goal.
But we've had entire games The power play didn't look dangerous at all.
Yeah. But this one, they were moving the puck a ton, and it just looked like, okay, like there's a rhythm to this. And you can see everybody's buying. Like you can see there's a few moments. There was one, it was Garland, and who was the other guy? And you just see like the shoulder check. And they could see the guy in the corner, and you could already start seeing like they knew where the next play was going to be as long as they still had the puck on their stick. And it just kept kind of cycling around. I thought, this is what we're waiting for. It didn't matter if there was a goal for me in that moment because I knew that they were creating a play. And then seeing Petey at the doorstep there instead of forcing that clapper from the side, like it's coming and he's going to get those opportunities, but they're allowing everyone down low. Like it was nice to see 5 guys. Remember how I've been preaching this? Like it just angers me to a bitter end. Like let all 5 guys touch the puck. Because if you let all 5 guys touch the puck, they can't contain all 5. That's when Quinn becomes dangerous. That's when Miller becomes dangerous, when PD becomes dangerous. Those guys are your missile launchers. But if you just keep feeding it to them, like, well, we know what's going to happen. As soon as you involve those other guys, that's when that power play or that even line rush or whatever becomes dynamic. And that's what I loved about that game last night.
Well, I mean, speaking of missile launchers, like Quinn now letting off 95-mile-per-hour slap shots, like
okay,
where is this coming from, right? Like the constant walk the line sessions that this guy has had, and just making opposing forwards look absolutely silly trying to defend what looks like a forward coming in from the blue line. Like he's so freaking good. How many times did you see him find a guy like backdoor? And there could have been 4 or 5 goals in that game, like very, very easily. And I felt like every time we were looking at a scoring chance, they kept finding the guy in the middle of the ice that was streaking towards the net. Yeah. Like on numerous occasions, and just bang, bang plays, like quick off a stick, Miller, Lekaramaki in the slot, bang, shot on net, back, recollect, start the whole thing over again, right? Like, I mean, even the Suter goal, there was like when you take the freeze frame of that shot from the one that they were showing post game, there was no defenders anywhere around him, none. Like there was nobody. He was all by himself in the front of the net. Like where was everybody? I'd have to go watch the play again to see where everybody was. There wasn't a single defender around him watching him at all. And he looks so good right now. Like if that's the solution, if the solution all along was to have a guy like Suter play on that line and him be, this perfect weapon of defensive and offensive ability where the puck doesn't die on his stick. Like he looks significantly more dangerous than he did it last year. And the guy is just playing unreal right now. There's so many good pieces on this team to continue to move around. And it's like a Mr. Potato Head of where you're going to find the correct piece to live on these lines right now. And it's just exciting. It's a fun time.
And I think what's going to get even more exciting now, they didn't confirm it, but they said there's a chance that Dakota Joshua plays tomorrow night, which if that happens, he doesn't even have to factor into that game, but he will because it's Dakota Joshua.
Oh, yeah.
They win that game. You don't even have to tell me the score, but they win that game. Like you could bet on that one 100% because there's no way they lose it, because now you've got Kiefer Sherwood, you've got Dakota Joshua, you've got Connor Garland. These are all the guys, like these are your workhorse, like the actual workhorses, not best players, but your workhorses, which means, like we said before, when you're getting hit all the time, like you just want to get rid of the puck.
There's so many dogs right now on that team. Like
it creates opportunity.
Sherwood, nasty forechecker. You got Heinen, who's a nasty forechecker. Like Ratu is significantly more physical than he used to be. Hoaglander looks like this, like sort of like this Wish Timu version of Brad Marchand out there with his forechecking ability and the things that he does to piss people off. You have Garland, who's like strangely annoying and effective because he's so damn darty out there. Like DeBrusk is a good forechecker. Like all these guys that are living in the bottom 6 right now, they can literally switch any one of them to play on any of the top 2 lines. You can move a guy down and have like nasty forecheckers on any line. And that's not even including guys like Bluger and Dak that we haven't talked about yet. Like this is when he comes back and this team is firing on all cylinders. This team is like very, very poised to do some very dangerous things down the stretch there if they can just keep their their continuity up and be playing smart hockey.
And that's not even including Calder hopeful Jonathan Lekaramaki. So now I don't listen to a lot of 650 only because I'm at work and we got a different audio system going on over there. But from what I did hear on the pregame, I think it's Chet. Like, some of it wasn't even tongue in cheek. Like, everyone's expecting, like, if he stays up, that he's going to be a mainstay, that he's going to be scoring goals and getting points. I'm like, that's great if that all happens, but let's just. He isn't the most exciting prospect ever, folks. Like, this isn't Quinn Hughes. This isn't Pettersson. It's not Brock Besser. Like, he's up there. He is a talented. He's a talented forward, but let's just pump the brakes ever so slightly. Let's just remember, like, the guy has only now played one game. He had a great game, but I mean, we aren't about to see the second coming of Wayne Gretzky. Let's just chill. Okay.
It's a break check. It's a break check for sure.
Like, we will all celebrate this guy because that's how Canucks fans do it. But my goodness, like, let's just chill for a second. It's a bit much. I thought it was kidding, and I'm like, they're not actually.
I think there was it was a little tongue in cheek. I think they're talking about it like, hey, if this guy was to go on a run with 69 games,
nice.
Say he sticks for 69. Like, if he sticks, he's doing good things. If he's doing good things, he's scoring goals. If he's scoring goals, how many is he scoring, right? Like, it makes sense what they're trying to say. That's not what's happening here. I think the team is too deep for him to stay up for the whole entire season.
Yeah.
Right. But this is a smart play. And I know that you said a little earlier, like, it's not Elias Pettersson. It's not Brock Besser.
I mean, hey, maybe it is. Maybe it is.
If you were to go back to Brock's rookie year and you were to read the scouting report on this player that was coming in from college and going to play a full-time role with a really weak Canucks team at the time, you think about a guy who doesn't skate real well, but knows how to get to the soft areas, has an electric shot, finds scoring zones, and can be a spot in a bumper and hit a quick one-timer in a pinch, is like decent on the walls, and like can handle himself defensively because he makes the right plays. Does that sound familiar at all for a prospect that might be playing on this team right now?
I'll give it to you. Yeah. No, that's fair.
It's not out of a stretch. Like, obviously there was different opportunity that was available to Brock when he played, right? He was the best player on that team at the time. That's not Lekaramaki, but if he finds himself on a top line role, how can you not put up points?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like it just hearing it, I thought, I'm like, okay.
It's silly talk.
Okay, folks, let's just calm down. I'm excited too, but let's just chill for a second. And we will all celebrate it. I said that already. We will all celebrate it. But come on.
When was the last time we had a Canucks prospect, a drafted Canucks prospect, play for this team, not including Shilovs?
that was a prospect that came up?
Yeah, like one we drafted.
Well,
like there's been lots of prospects that have played, right?
Technically Pettersson.
I'm not talking about, no, it'd be past Pettersson.
I mean, Demko.
Maybe Aiden McDonough.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe Aiden McDonough. And I won't count Shilovs because he's a goaltender, but yeah, he was a drafted player.
Yeah, McDonough would be, or
that's 2022-23 season.
That's still pretty.
That I don't know. I can't go back much further than that. How much? Yeah.
They've also traded a lot of their draft picks just to stay. Like a lot. Which people seem so okay with for such a long time. But I mean, we were okay with it because they had to make the painful moves to just exist. Like they needed to get out of debt just to be at, to bounce the books, basically. It was uncomfortable, but I mean, we're in a very different state now, which is great. We're talking about
Right.
Lekaramaki being a Calder favorite. That's where we're at right now. That's a good problem.
It looks like maybe Vasily Podkolzin,
Yeah.
2019.
Man, that's looking good for some of these guys. Kuzmenko, but no, he was a signing. He wasn't a draft.
Kuzi was a signing. Lekaramaki was drafted, but so the last up until now, I think it might be Vasily Podkolzin and Aiden McDonough. Those guys were from the same year, so a 2019 draft pick.
Wow.
Prior to Lekaramaki.
Isn't it wild to think you're talking about 2019 and it feels like yesterday?
It feels like forever ago. Like when I look at this 2019 draft class, so Podkolzin and Höglander and Aiden McDonough. But you're looking at guys like Ethan Keppen, Carson Vogt, Artur Silovs. When did Judd Brackett leave the organization?
2 seasons ago?
Okay.
2? Who did he leave after? What pick was it? Yeah, I feel like 2 seasons ago. I'm not going to bother to fact check. That's a deep dive that I don't want to do.
I'm gonna look it up real quick here.
I brought this up on a rival podcast hotline. This has nothing to do with the Canucks. Can we just talk about Cybertrucks for a second?
Yeah, sure.
So
it's like maybe 4 years ago, Judd Brackett, by the way.
Oh, 2, 4, whatever. It's a
so basically that draft class.
Wow. So that was him, and he's like, "This organization blows. See you later."
The first thing that comes up is an article. Jim Benning speaks about Judd Brackett leaving the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, that tells you all. You don't even need to read it.
Written by Quinn.
Oh, it's probably a master class.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a good read. I'm going to check it out.
If you think about it, you know what's crazy though? You don't right now. You don't have to read it because you know that this team went in such a different direction because of a bunch of these reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's, but I'm going to read it because that's awesome. Cybertrucks though. Let's get serious for a second.
Cybertruck.
Have you seen or heard of a jacked up Cybertruck yet? Like, I feel like we are missing out. There needs to be the jacked up, because we've seen the jacked up pickups. Have we seen a jacked up Cybertruck yet? I feel like I want to see that just to make fun of them even more. But because, when you see like, oh, you big jacked up truck, you're like, why do you need that? Well, why do you need a Cybertruck? But why haven't we seen a jacked up Cybertruck yet? That's what I want to know.
I don't know.
These
like,
are the thoughts.
You don't often see like modded out Teslas and stuff like that either, right? Like they're out there, obviously, right? Like
sure.
Teslas are such a normal thing now, but like maybe it's because working on a Tesla is like generally shamed upon by Tesla. This right to repair thing, right? So maybe that's what happens when it comes to Cybertruck stuff. Like working on it voids a bunch of warranties and souping it up and jacking it up, and like people are terrified of voiding a warranty on it. Who knows?
Maybe. That's interesting. I didn't think of that. I hope you're wrong.
That would be my grown-up opinion on it.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for being so grown up. We are going to take a quick little break for ads because, well, we're supposed to. So, DraftKings, Raycon, and Gametime. Let's read some ads. Here they go. Really good ads. I'm so happy with myself. I'm getting really good at this. Ted's frozen face looked like he was farting. That was cool. You're doing that? Or did you actually fart? It wasn't frozen.
Yeah. I'm always farting.
Who isn't though? Really? Yeah. Farting's great. BO farting. This show clearly is like top class. So we're season 6. We are gonna get back to our roots. We're gonna get some guests again, but we're not there yet. But we're gonna get back to our roots. What made us fun? What made us the best Canucks podcast in the land? Statistically, you don't have to look that up, but we are.
Please don't.
So You don't, but also don't. Please do not fact check. It's not good for business. I would never fact check if you're the best at your job, people. So don't do that for us. We need this. We need it. Just believe. Why would I lie? What do I have to lose? Why would I lie? We're going to get back into the funness of the PP1 podcast. And this is a nod to our football show that helps no one, Fantasy Cast. We brought up a little segment this season, and we called it Remember the Name. So basically what it's about is guys just love naming random athletes. It's just something we do. I don't know why we like to do it, but we can do it for a really long time. That, and I would say word for word of Dumb and Dumber and probably a handful of other movies. We just do that. So that being said, and I'm going to need a graphic obviously for this, and I don't have a sound effect. So this is like, we're very much, we're going raw on this one, but it's time for name a random Canuck. So Ted, I'm going to let you go first because I don't have mine yet.
Just like name a random Canuck, and you're going to tell me about this random Canuck.
Well, you're going to tell me about him, and if we've got any memories of this guy,
you're gonna name it, and then I'm going to tell you about him.
Oh, I'm going to give you a name.
It's almost like a quiz or a test.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's
last minute adjustments here.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, this is what we do. Here's a fun one. Reed Boucher.
Okay, yeah, Reed Boucher. So I believe he was a New Jersey Devils draft pick.
That sounds right.
He had some big years in junior, like an absolute like goal scoring machine stud. I think was a Team USA player. I want to say he played for Sarnia back then.
We have the same birthday. No kidding. September 8th. No kidding.
Yeah. Was it Sarnia? And maybe he played with
he did play with the Sting. Yeah.
Did he play? I think he might have played with was it Yakupov maybe back in the day? Part of the reason why I think his goal totals might have been inflated. I could be wrong on this.
Let me see.
But
look at you just pulling them out here.
Yeah, so it was a goal scoring machine though. Was it Yakupov that was on that team?
Yakupov was on the team.
Was Goldobin on that team?
Who?
Goldobin.
They
obviously have a long history of goal scorers on that team. I think Stammer played on that team too. Not that team, but he played for the Sting.
Can you name two more players on that Sting team?
I don't know if I can.
There's a very politically charged player on that team.
Politically charged player.
Hey, Mr. Soprano.
I'm not sure.
Tony D'Angelo.
Yeah, it's another former Canuck. I forgot about that. Well,
no, Tony D'Angelo was never a Canuck.
No, not D'Angelo. Sorry, I'm thinking of Del Zotto. My bad.
Okay. And then I'm going to give you one more from that team. Ryan Spooner also played on that team.
Oh, Ryan Spooner. That's a pretty good junior team.
Not bad.
So I can't remember exactly how we got Reed Boucher, but when we got him, it was like this, like, it was back in the days of, I think it was Benning, like trying to collect players who had like formerly good draft pedigree who were like slightly advanced in age because he thought he had a better chance of these guys like becoming pro. Mm-hmm. Which I think you can probably attribute like them trading like Gustav Forsling, like whoopsies.
Oh, yep.
Because I think Glendening was like older. He was like 25 and was like ready to play minutes now.
That worked out great.
Didn't happen. So Boucher, I think, had some chances to play. I remember he had those really ugly gloves. Like he had like, I can't remember the name of the brand of the gloves that he was using, but they were just terribly ugly, and they were like almost like lacrosse style gloves. But the guy could rip the puck, and it turns out that maybe he was like kind of a bad human away from hockey. I think he got into some trouble. I mean, all in all, I think it was like a fun test to go after a guy like Reed Boucher, who just really never popped, but like did have even when he was on the squad with Brock Besser on it, had like maybe one of the top like one or two shots on the team, and was a ridiculous shooter. He was just never he could never get open enough to really use it at the NHL level. Was a bit undersized too.
Oh boy, geez, yeah, not a nice guy.
Yeah, so that's all I remember about Reed Boucher. Basically, he was like he was a net zero, maybe more than a net zero.
He was slaying it in Utica.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like if you're gonna make a trade, you might as well trade for a really good AHL player.
That sometimes it's what you got to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you now. Are you naming one for me, or am I just naming two for you, or how are we doing this?
I'll name one for you then. How about we'll go with Justin Kurtz
with a C?
With a K.
Oh man, Justin Kurtz.
Okay, I'll remove Justin Kurtz if you don't know who he is. How about Jason Jaffrey?
Jason Jaffrey. Now this was the tail end of the West Coast Express. Not tail end. I guess he was in was he like 2012 Canucks, 2010, 2012 Canucks, I think, in that ballpark.
So it looks like he was
a Manitoba Moose, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was brought under the Moose in 2004, 2005, and he played his first game in Vancouver 2007, 2008.
Okay, so end of West Coast Express, basically the beginning years of the amazing Sid Deanery. I remember the one where he scored his first goal. I think he scored 2 goals in his first. Was it his first game or his first time he scored? He scored 2 goals, I think, right? And then I think someone else scored a goal. It was him, and who was the other guy that had also scored like 2 goals like the game before or something? It was on a road trip because they were on the plane. I remember the Canucks photo. Crap, who's the other guy? Oh, Ryan.
It wasn't even help you because I don't know the answer.
It wasn't Leaf Rolene, so that's okay.
No,
but Jaffrey was he was a nice addition, again, back and forth on the farm team and the Canucks. But from what I do remember, he slotted in. I think they had a lot of injuries when he was playing, so it would have been. You're saying 07, 08 in that area. Was he there like 08, 09?
Yeah.
So he would have been playing like the Curtis Sanford years, and so I probably saw him play in Anaheim and LA when there was a bunch of injuries. So I just remember him being like a middle of the road Canuck. But I do remember that I don't think it was his first NHL game, but it was his first or second. He scored 2 goals. That's what I remember about Jason Jaffrey. But I do remember he was a Manitoba Moose.
Fun one. I think we were all thinking like he was a journeyman pro, right? Like was never drafted, was really good in the AHL, like had seasons of like, had an 81 point season, 48 points in 43 games in Manitoba. Like I think they were just hoping, and I think we were all thinking this during these times, that like the next guy that they bring up that has like no track record that's going to score some points, the Matt Popes of the world, is just going to be the next Burrows. And I think people were thinking that. I remember that being like a talk, right? Because he was a guy that had some like crazy scoring potential when he was a younger player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what this is always a tough one for me because I can only deep dive so many guys before I just fall apart.
That's quite the comment there. Yeah.
Oh, gee. Oh, wow. Well, thanks for tuning into the PP1 podcast this week, folks. I think that'll pretty much do it for us tonight. Oh, that was well played, Rye. Well played. Let's see here. Oh, okay. This is a fun one. 2 players in one. This is a bonus. Ronald's Kennins.
Yeah, the Latvian Express, Ronald's Kennins. The Ronald's Kennins Balm.
That's right.
Yeah. I think I had a Twitter handle named after that guy for a little while. I remember him like coming up. It was during that time where we were constantly looking for guys that were like fixtures on that fourth line, like the Victor Oreskoviches of the world that just could absolutely bang. Right. I mean, he had like a Jeff Cowan sort of run in Vancouver for a little bit, right? Like to the point where we were seeing like Kennan's jerseys out there.
Just like legendary status. Yeah.
Another guy who was like undrafted, like another guy who like the fans got behind, who people thought could maybe turn into the next Burrows. Like obviously it was all for naught, but the guy had like some hands, like he could put the puck in the net. and he could hit, but like hitting was never his game, right?
And he even played with the Sedins, I remember, for a game. We're like,
did,
well,
yeah, he
here
did.
we are.
And he was a sturdy guy. I remember him being shorter, like I want to say like 5'11", 208 or something like that. And he was like, you know, he could skate and he could hit. He was really sturdy, but like hitting wasn't his game. Just like it wasn't Oreskovich's game, right? It was just something that he could do, and he just wasn't able to maintain like the amount of steam that they needed him to maintain on those bottom lines. And I remember the next season coming around, obviously people were having hopes of him making the team and just being a bit of a fixture on that fourth line, and it just never fizzled. And I think shortly after that, he was out of the NHL. But for the time that he was there, he was a fun player. Like I said, just like the Jeff Cowan, the Barbarian thing, right? There was a very short period of time for a few weeks that he sort of really captured the imagination of Canucks fans for a bit there.
It's those folk heroes are always the best. I think every team, like Justin Kirkland's one of those guys right now. Now, hopefully he becomes more than hopefully he becomes more than a folk legend on Calgary, even though we hate the Flames. But it's good to see, like, especially Kelowna Rocket, like the guy's been a journeyman in the AHL, and he's getting his shot and he's making the most of it. Like, he did look good against the Canucks. That was a great, quick tap in goal there off the pass. Like, just he's a smart hockey player. We got to see him in Kelowna. He was on that Memorial Cup team with Merkley and Draisaitl, and man, the team was so good. Yeah. But Ronald Kennan's definitely a guy that he was a lot of fun. But again, these guys, I think they get cast into a role and then they try to be more than the role. And
he's still playing hockey right now.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's playing in CREHC in Switzerland. He's played 7 games. He's got a goal and assist. He had 36 games last year. Yeah.
-3.
Swiss A-League guy. There you go.
He has almost as many points as he did last season, and he had 36 games. So he's clearly going to outperform himself within the next week or two.
There you go.
Ronald Kennan's that was always a fun one for me during those days. It was like one of those bright moments. You're like, well, we got this at least. I'm pretty sure I wrote a few articles about him on Canucks Army and my Always 94 website back in the day.
We still got Ronald's Cannons. Okay, I'll go with Martin Brochu.
It's not a whole lot to talk about Martin Brochu, but he was a Canuck. There's not a whole lot that I can get. I got to get in some. He played 6 games. This was right around.
You know what?
No, we can get into it.
Okay. I was thinking I wanted to do something else with this one, but Martin Brochu, he did play 6 games. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, journeyman. He played the Verdun Dragons. This guy was basically everything but an NHLer. He's I don't know. He was all right. What am I forgetting about Martin Brochu?
I don't. He was the guy that came in and he was supposed to sort of be the backup, right? Like we didn't have a backup position locked in at that time, and so it was like, don't worry, we know this guy. We got this guy, Martin Brochu, right? I remember him
because we were Kevin Weeksing, we were Potvin, we were.
It was like past that, and I actually wanted you to get to comment on Danny Sabourin. I didn't want to say Brochu, but I mixed the two up.
Oh, okay. The poop game. Danny Sabourin was the poop game, wasn't he?
Danny Sabourin was the poop game, yeah.
That was still. Yeah, sorry, Martin Brochu. We're gonna sidetrack. That was still one of the most bizarre things to ever happen in a hockey game. That was pre Lamar Jackson. That was pre like as a sporting thing, like a poop. And I mean, Luongo becomes infamous for it. But I mean, elimination overtime. Was it double OT at that point?
I don't know if it was double. Might have been.
I think it's just regular OT. In the playoffs, elimination game, and you're like
cold.
The guy that is up for awards. No, this was the year. No, that was that year. He was up for the Vezina and the Hart that year. No, I don't think he was up for the Hart Trophy that year, but definitely the Vezina. And we're like, where's Luongo? And they go up to the press box, and even Dave Nonis has no idea what's going on. When your GM is like he's worried. Like this is like sweats. Like you have the poop sweats and you're not the guy with the poops. And everyone's freaking out. And Danny Sabrin goes, bless his heart, goes off for, was it like 8 minutes, 9 minutes of playoff hockey in overtime. Oh, here comes Roberto Luongo. They talk in French. Thank you so much. I could only imagine, like, dude, you're buying. Had they won that game, I mean, you'd be buying them a car. But they didn't. They lost on a called play that Luongo was mad about. Shot from the point. Game over.
It looks like maybe that was 06-07. So yeah, it would have been that would have been the 47 win season.
Mm-hmm.
His first in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
When Sabrin's into that game. And Sabrin played 9 games that year. Or played in 9 games.
He had a good mask. He had a good mask.
Yeah, I had they've had a bunch of weird backups over the seasons. Danny Sabrin was one. I remember, like, Peter Scooter was another. Chris Levesque, yeah. So some fun names, but yeah, Danny Sabrin saving the squad in the playoffs. Luongo Onum, definite dinners. Can you imagine coming off the bench in a game like that? And they bared down on him. I think he had a couple of like big saves too, right? So yeah,
it was so surreal, and then it just ended. There was the penalty that didn't happen. Luongo puts his arm up, shot from the blue line, game over.
Yeah,
I think it was Niedermeyer.
Yeah. I think Yannick Hansen was in on that play too, but
that's pretty bad, Ted.
But I think off the strength of that season, he got himself into a backup role in Pittsburgh and played 2 more years. So he completed the dream. He got there.
Man, wild. No Stanley Cup though. Did he get a cup with Pittsburgh?
Oh, I don't know. 07, 08, 08, 09.
Well, 08, 09 would have been a cup.
So maybe he got a cup. Maybe he got a ring.
I'm going to Google that. So have we each done 2? Do I owe you one?
I think we each did 2. Unless you want to do another one, doesn't really matter.
I really don't. I'm not ready for it. It's fun, but it needs some work. Clearly, needs some work. Now we're almost done. I can't believe it's been an hour. Holy smokes! You brought up this last week, and I think from Canucks Reddit, right?
Yeah, our Canucks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think we should continue on. So you have the next categories, I believe.
Yeah, from Maruz, I think his name is Miruzzz. Yeah, we were posting that list last week that we were working on. So we had most underrated. Ryan, you named Brian Allen. Totally. I took Matthias Olin. Overrated, you took Booth, which I think was a great pick. I took Messier.
And I also texted you later, Emerson Edom.
Emerson Edom, yeah, that would have been a good one. That's a Reed Boucher pick. That's what that is. That's the same.
There you go.
Former first rounder, heck of a player when he was in junior, though. Best was you took Luongo and I took Hughes. Worst, you took Fedorov and I took Alex Stoyanov. So this week we'll do.
Doesn't look like Sabrin got a Stanley Cup from what I'm seeing here. Trying to find it, but I don't see it.
Best and worst. Underrated, overrated, best, worst, right? Underrated, overrated. Best,
that's what we had.
Okay, so next would be most potential.
Oh, wow. Most potential. I'm going to go Cody Hodgson.
Oh, okay.
I mean, let's be honest. He had like an insane amount of potential. There's actually a few other similar ones to this, but I'm going to go with Cody Coho. Game 8. It's a shame the way his career went. There's a bunch of reasons why, but it is a shame because I think there was a lot of promise for Coho. Like those injuries just screwed him. There's always something, and we're always waiting for like it to be done. For kind of like how Besser had all of his injuries, right? And then he finally eclipsed it, and like look where Brock Besser is now. Not today specifically, but where he is now career wise. And I think Cody Hodgson was a guy that there was so much potential. And I mean, he's doing things for hockey now, which is great. I don't know if he's still with Nashville's development, like the youth development program, I think. But yeah, too bad.
He was trying to make a comeback last year. Did that not materialize? Did he get close?
I don't think so. I don't think so. So yeah, Koho, it's my guy.
So two ways to look at this, right? There's the most potential and couldn't realize it, and then there's like has the most potential and realized it.
Oh,
so very obviously Quinn Hughes comes to mind again, right? Like,
okay, I see where you're going with this. Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna say you can't pick him.
Well, okay, why not?
Because you've already picked him.
I mean, I have a feeling that we're going through an all-time list that Quinn Hughes is going to get named a couple of times.
But
on this,
just a quick side note. Yeah, we are going to.
Let's go from the negative standpoint then. Like where
that's easy.
I'll take Jake Virtanen, busted potential, had so much potential,
yeah.
had all the tools, right? And I probably would have taken Fedor over this. But I mean, you've already used him once, so I'm going to try to stay away from that. But he was as big and was a better skater and had a better shot and had the ability to be so physical. But that hockey sense just failed him, and so did that work ethic
and his life sense too,
and his life. So I'm going to take Jake Virtanen on this one.
Remember when he hit Connor McDavid, and we all thought,
yeah.
"Oh, the murder!" Remember the murders?
I was at that game. I watched it happen.
That's right.
I was like, oh my God, this guy is absolutely for real.
I was supposed to be with you guys.
He was for real an NHL player for a little bit.
But remember, like the murders, like we would all, that was the big thing. Like, oh, I can't wait to see one of Jake Virtanen's murders again on the ice. Like that was just like the thing because he just creamed guys occasionally. But yeah, that's a good pick. It is too bad. I mean, again, not a great human being, but it's, we're talking about hockey in this sense. So would have been nice to see him because there was a lot of potential for that to be a thing. I was actually, now this is a guy I don't know if you would have said or not, but like, do you think like Bo Horvat is on that list?
Most potential?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think
No?
I think Bo realized his potential. I think he maxed out. I think maybe he even became a better player than people thought he was going to become.
But because he's something that we tried fitting him into a different box.
Yeah.
I think. And maybe that's what you get when you're a 9th overall draft pick. Everybody's expecting the world on you. So anyway, that was my thought. I was thinking maybe you go Bo Horvat on that, but good pick. A good pick with Jake.
So the next one is going to be most wasted potential.
Oh, I feel like we almost just did that.
Well, I think that's why it was a most potential positive and then a most potential.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So we can flip it. Which player, the positive side of things, which Canuck had ultimately the most potential or the highest ceiling?
Okay, so we've done
wasted.
Okay, so let's reverse it. So the most potential and achieved it, or the most potential and open-ended?
Open-ended.
Okay. Ooh, that's a tough one.
Or you can name another shitty one too if you want.
No, I like the yin and the yang. Ooh, that I'm just going through the list here because there's been a lot of players that have played for the Canucks. Oh man, most potential. You know what? I think this is a good pick. Now, but you've already picked them.
It's okay. Doesn't matter.
I think
different players fit into different categories for different people.
I think Matthias Ohlund. Because I think now he didn't achieve. Did he win a Stanley Cup with Tampa?
I don't know. Maybe. I want to say yes.
I think with it's the eye thing. I think many of us have wondered if that eye thing wouldn't have happened, Matthias Oland. Or he's been in the Stanley Cup final.
There you go. Must have been the year they lost.
Yeah, probably. I think with the whole eye thing, that was his that he was that close, right?
Yeah.
He was that. I think he could have been that stud, that absolute number one with a bullet stud on the Canucks blue line. And I mean, you think about what it's like when you have a little bit of loss of vision, or, I mean, in your case, you think about, excuse me, you know, you've had your heart surgeries and stuff, and what it takes to come back from that, and whether you feel like you've got, you know, at 100%, or if you're operating just differently, knowing that you can't do what you should be able to do or what you were able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Matthias was just such an absolute beast when the Canucks had picked him up. But I mean, he materializes an amazing defenseman, but I don't think maybe to the level like we all thought, as not necessarily Quinn Hughes, but like a true bona fide number one defenseman. I think that's what I'm going to pick, Matthias Oland.
Matthias Oland, that's a fun pick.
He still was, I mean, he was still great. He was still a great defenseman. And he continued to be great even after he left Vancouver.
Yeah, I think that's like a tribute to how good he was if he was able to do what he did with only 30% vision in one eye.
You've got a good one. I feel there is massively low-hanging fruit on this if you want to take it.
Yeah, and I'm going to take it. It's Quinn Hughes is obviously the best player on this team. He might end up being the best Canuck of all time, but the player who I believe has the most potential is Elias Pettersson.
Oh, wow.
I think like, how rare is it that you could have a player, you know, that could win you a Selke? If there's a forward on this roster that could win a Selke.
Yep.
It's Elias Pettersson. If there's a player on this roster that could win you a scoring title, it's Elias Pettersson. If there's a player on this roster that could win a Rocket, it's Pettersson, right? I mean, this guy has the ability. He has the ability to be an absolute like number one with a bullet player. Whether he gets there or not, if he just is very, very good. I mean, if he only realizes 80% of this potential, this team might have its best center.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's going to be pretty tough to pass Henrik, but if you just look at his point totals, his point per game totals, is where he sits in the elite class that he's in just at this stage of in his career.
Isn't he closing in on 500 points?
It's pretty staggering how good he really is. So I think most potential, and that's not to say that he's the best, definitely not yet, right?
But has a super high ceiling if he achieves it.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody else even comes close.
So that wasn't who I thought. That really wasn't who I thought. And this is very much a Ryan pick had you picked it. But if the knee injury never happened, how great, you know where I'm going with this. How great would Pavel Bure have been?
Pav would have been awesome. Yeah.
Like he was,
but he wouldn't have been as complete as Elias, right?
No, but you're saying potential though.
Yeah, fair.
So in his own right, I mean, geez, the guy still scored 60 goals after he left Vancouver with a bum knee. It's kind of like if Bobby Orr, like how much better could Bobby Orr have been if he didn't have those surgeries?
Yeah.
Right. So, folks, I'm not saying that Pavel Bure and Bobby Orr are in the same breath. You get what I'm trying to say. But what if Bure wasn't hurt? Like what could we have seen out of Pavel? I think that I do think his tenure would have been different. Right? I mean, imagine a healthy Bure with McGillney and Messier. Like, let's talk about it if you want. I don't really want to. But I mean, if you think like, yeah, I know. But what if you had like elite Bure with McGillney and like, man, that could have been dangerous. We'll never know, but it's interesting. So yeah, I think you're right on the Pettersson thing. There is an insane amount of potential in that guy. and we've seen seasons of it, and we've seen spurts of it at the same time. We've seen a full version, and we've seen it's almost like, we had the subscription, and then now we're getting a bunch of free trials, and like, okay, well, we need to pay for the subscription again because what we had was awesome. It was worth the $20 a month. He was our HBO.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
HBO is expensive too.
It is expensive. That is expensive. That's great. How many categories are there total?
Too many for me to count at this time.
Oh, really? So like we could do this forever?
We could do this forever, but so we've done 2. We've been doing 4, so there's 2 more to go if you want to bang them out. Wow. I have a feeling they're going to be quick.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm going to pick something, and you can't pick that guy, and then you're going to go, and you're going to pick something, and then I can't pick that guy. Now, the next 2 are very obvious who these players are, so I think it might be more interesting to see who the seconds are. Do you want to go first, or do you want to go second?
I will go second.
Okay. So, best defender.
Oof.
I'll take Quinn Hughes.
Do you care to elaborate?
I mean, it's Quinn Hughes. I think we talked about it earlier, right? I think it's very possible that this might be the best Canuck ever. Yeah, we might just be watching it right now, and we haven't seen what's going to amount to the totality of how good he was, right? So right now we're just living it, and holy shit, this guy can play, right? I mean, I find myself routinely saying things that like I thought only were plausible when I watched the Twins play. Like can't believe he just did that. I've never seen that before. You know what I mean? Like those kinds of things are happening routinely, sometimes 2 or 3 times a night now.
Yeah.
He might be a league MVP right now, and he's not even the league.
Isn't he the leading scorer right now?
So, just
leading defenseman for sure.
Just craziness. Well, no, Makar is like significantly more points, but he's doing.
Oh, really? I thought.
Spot, right?
Did I not see that Quinn Hughes had some kind of?
So he might be he just straight up might be the best Canuck ever when all's said and done. So best defenseman, it's not even close. It's Quinn Hughes, and he was probably.
Sorry,
the best
take that back. So years ago. McKinnon's up there for most points. Makar's tied.
The power play's not good enough for him to be collecting max points right now.
Like Quinn Hughes is 16 points. He was leading something. Oh, he's leading the Canucks. Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Best defenseman, and it's not Quinn Hughes. Oof. Okay, I mean. Well, it wasn't Edler. I mean, would it be Jovanovski?
Pretty fun one.
The swashbuckler Ed Jovanovski. Who else have we had that's been? What sucks? I feel like Quinn Hughes has just like completely made me forget about every other defenseman this team's ever had. I mean, Sammy Salo was a big deal. Bieksa wasn't that guy. Bieksa was like a phenomenal 2-3, probably a 3.
Yeah, I mean the top 4 scorers are Edler, Hughes, Olin, Lume.
Yeah, Yerke. I would love to say that I was more well versed on those 94 guys. Like I love the Canucks, but I just wasn't like in the Canucks all the time. So yeah, I mean Lume at the time was a big deal, but I don't know, like Edler or Salo or Jovo. I'm going to go with Edler because, I mean, he was a pretty wicked defenseman. He was never...
It's not a bad pick. He's an all-time franchise leading point getter. Like, yeah, I mean...
He's never had anything, so it really just... Like, I hate crapping on these guys because it's not fair. Alex Edler was a great defenseman. He could hit. He could score. I mean, geez, he was so good he'd look off Brock Besser. So, I mean, that's saying something.
Every time the Canucks entered the playoffs, you knew that Edler was going to light somebody up. Every time.
Yeah. So I'm going to go Alex Edler.
Guy played almost 1,000 games, had almost 400 points. Sorry, more than 400 points. 409 points. Like an absolute warrior, 45 power play goals. Like the guy was The guy was the real deal. Played for a long time.
And he was through a few different regimes too. Like he was on a few different versions of the Canucks.
Yeah, he was the last member of the Cup Run team.
He was on the West Coast Express. He was on the Sedin era, and he looked off Brock Besser. That's three different decades. That's a lot. Yeah. It's not, but you know what I mean. Actually, no. Oh, yeah, 3 different decades.
So
no, that's wrong.
I know what you're saying. You're saying like 3 different regimes, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to make the math work. It's not working.
Okay, so you get to go next on this one. It's best goalie.
Best goalie. Whew. So I'm going to get a lot of flack. Oh, no, come on. It's Roberto Luongo. I mean, this shouldn't even be a category. Can we just pick a different category?
I mean, well, it's fun to name.
We could be here for a while. Like, let's just pick.
Somebody's got to put some respect on like Alex Ald's name, I guess, right?
The baby giraffe. It's funny how we had a baby giraffe before we had a chaos draft. If you think about it, remember that was all the joke about how every time he played goal looked like he was a baby giraffe in net. Yeah, this is a dumb question for this specific one because it is Roberto Luongo. There's no reason it should be anyone else. Kirk McLean is great. I am a big Dan Cloutier fan, and I know a lot of people aren't, but yeah, it is Roberto Luongo without a doubt. Anyone that says otherwise, well, I hope you have a really good argument.
I mean, I don't have an argument. It's very obviously Roberto Luongo, but I think I'm going to do the unpopular opinion and shy away from taking Kirk McLean as number 2, and I'm going to take Thatcher Demko.
And that's a good choice.
Yeah, I mean, even by win percentage, right? I mean, as good as McLean was, and he played on some really rough teams through the 90s, but, you know, a fair bit more losses than wins. That wasn't as tough for me to look at save percentage back then and goals against average because having a 187 was not a bad thing back then. If you could even scrape together and get close to 900, you were something else. He had a couple of seasons where he was just an absolute light show, and in the All-Star game looked like unbeatable. Should have won a Vezina in one of those seasons. You know, dying breed, one of the last guys doing the stand-up thing. But I think pound for pound, like, Demko is the better goalie. Like the issue here is obviously injuries. Are we going to get to see the full extent of what Demko could actually do?
That's an interesting one.
It's a caveat that if this team does make some noise in the playoff this year or next year, and Demko was a part of that, this could, if it's close right now and I'm taking Demko, it could just be an absolute runaway if this team does something with this goaltender in the position right now.
It is interesting that they're as good as they've been so far, and they haven't even had him.
Yeah, you want to talk about potential?
Yeah, that is up there. I mean, that would have been an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, it crossed my mind, right? I mean, that's just the Demko side of thing, right? We haven't even talked about like Corey Schneider. So this team has been really blessed with some very, very good goalies. And chief among potential is Thatcher Demko.
So quick side question. Who do you think has had to play the toughest games as a goaltender?
The toughest games?
Yeah.
Probably.
I think Corey Schneider was up there.
I don't know. I would say maybe McLean.
McLean did have some tough ones.
There was not a lot of defending that was going on back then, and they were just shootouts.
But I mean, Corey Schneider,
those small pads, like
you think back to like Corey Schneider games, like even the 2010 Canucks, and you think of like the Dallas games, like the New Year's Eve Dallas games, where Corey would be in net. Like he had to be as good as Luongo.
Oh yeah. There was a time when he was
where it wasn't Luongo, but you put him in, you're like, wow, he's as good. Like that was something else. So I don't know. I think he had some pretty tough games, but anyway, just a random thought in my brain.
Yeah.
What's the last category?
That's it.
I thought you said you had 4.
No, there was 4. We did all 4. Most potential wasted, most potential, best defender, and best goalie.
Oh, I'm good at math. I'm really good. That was fun.
Yeah.
We covered Cybertrucks. We covered probably the most retweeted clip this week from the show, and we'll get into that when I edit this. Something I'd rather not live, but I know that this show needs to grow, so I'm going to post it anyway.
What are we talking about?
Something about a deep dive.
Oh,
But
yeah.
anyway, yeah,
I
that was
wouldn't
pretty
post
bad.
that.
You don't think so? I'm good at shaming myself. So, you know what? I'm not going to post it. You guys comment on it. If you think it was funny, we'll just leave it at that. I'm really sorry that I didn't even realize I said it. It was good though. It's a good clip. It's very clippable. Oh, feels good. Hockey's back. The Canucks are doing so well. They got Bo Horvat tomorrow night, or tonight if you're listening to it on Thursday. And man, I think they got Chicago. Yeah, Chicago's coming back to town. I think, is that right?
I think yeah, it's gonna happen.
So the Connor Bedard will finally
homecoming.
happen. That's gonna be a big deal. It'd be nice if it was like a Lekaramaki game where he just got his 2 goals, and it was totally overshadowed the Bedard thing. Tickets are going to be crazy for that game, so folks, good luck. Hopefully you can afford a mortgage payment on that one. But I think that's it. So on behalf of Ted, I am Ryan. This is the Power Play 1 podcast, PP1 podcast for short, on the Hockey Podcast Network, brought to you by DraftKings, promo code THPN, Gametime, and Raycon. Folks, our Canucks are doing very well. Let's support them. Let's be positive. Go Canucks, go. Peace.